Hello, I'm Karina Heen, Chair of Visual Art at New Mexico School for the Arts. Thank you for applying to NMSA's Visual Arts Department. And I want to share with you in this video how to work on, prepare, and then submit your 2D skill value-based drawing that is required for your audition interview. This drawing will go into your portfolio that you're submitting as well for your application. Thank you for choosing to apply and spending the time on this lesson and on this drawing. I hope you have fun and you learn a little something along the way. You're going to be drawing a closet, cabinet, or drawer, focusing on accurate values, highlights, shadows, shading, and accurate proportions that show three-dimensional form and relative accurate size and shape of your subject. So our goals are here, kind of listed, is to spend one sustained hour drawing and then using real basic supplies, pencil, an eraser, and paper, drawing from direct in real life observation, not from photo, and to be as accurate in your proportions and values as you possibly can. What you're gonna need will be some basic pencils, as you see in the right-hand drawing here, maybe a sharpener, maybe get them sharp ahead of time, some erasers, basic paper. You will want a subject, whether it be a closet, cabinet, or drawer. So walk around first in your setting and find an interesting arrangement of maybe a cluttered closet, cabinet, or drawer. And you need an hour of time that you're ready to focus. So maybe ensure you have stretched and you've had some water and a snack. Drawing can actually be pretty exhausting if you're focusing. And so you want to make sure your body is ready to sit down and pay attention and maybe have some good music on. If you lack any basic 8x10 or 8.5x11 copy paper at home or sketchbook paper, you are welcome to improvise with resourceful repurposing, upcycling of, like you see in this photo on the left, envelopes of any size and stripe, brown packing paper. I often use sometimes recycled boxes and material cereal boxes with our students, but any support or newsprint or newspapery type surface that a pencil will work on will do. There's no size requirement, so use what you can find. What you're going to learn in this video is how to create an interesting composition, how to build up a drawing from a sketch, and how to make sure you're thinking about accurate value contrast and to depict a direct light source and looking at good proportion. We are going to have you focus on values, an element of design that is about light and dark contrast. You see in this image here a value scale on the very bottom of about a 10-point scale, from a contrast of high bright light, which is the tone of your paper, to the darkest possible tone you can possibly get by layering on your media, whether it be graphite or charcoal. Often we call that like a 10 or a dark. And then there's middle values in the center, middle grays, quarter tone grays, and those are important to get in your drawing as well. So we're going to try to help you build up that contrast. As seen in this image, this is a good example of what chiaroscuro or light-dark contrast is, to use these values to show three-dimensional form, the illusion or the lie of three-dimensional form on your flat paper. So in this drawing, you'll be doing the same. Also building up hatching and cross-hatching of line and smearing and mark to show really good light source. You can tell the light source is coming from the upper right-hand area, casting a shadow onto the table. And I do want you to consider for this drawing to capture your cast shadows. So first find a subject to draw and then find a selection of that subject. So you're not going to draw the entire cluttered mess of a closet or this is my kitchen cabinet drawer, but find an interesting selection that fills the frame and that looks like it would be fun for you to draw the shapes or the highlights and so on. And then you want to design and make a selection by using either 2Ls you cut from paper or particle board or cereal board or cardboard, as shown in these slides here. You can cut a window that's proportional to your paper, or cut 2Ls and then invert one and flip it over to use as a framing device to look through. So you're going to actually use this like you would your two hands. You've seen maybe cinematographers and filmmakers do this, where they frame out what happens if I look through the viewfinder like your own camera and make a selection and make a composition, a little to the left, a little to the right. Your goal is to lead the eye through the composition. So try not to center just one object. That's a little less fluid. We want to have something kind of move the eye and fill the page, moving you through the composition. I would advise for starting with pencil kind of sketching on scrap paper or newspaper or something, or in your sketchbook. And so you're seeing here, there's a lot of range a basic pencil can give you of value in tone and thickness of mark by the way you use it. So make your lightest mark, then make your darkest mark. The way you hold the pencil really, really matters. So I want to encourage you to use and hold the pencil from the back end. And if you can use it from the back end, you will be able to get looser, lighter fluid marks. If you also then want dark marks, really, really cinch up on the pencil tip and push down with your index finger to get dark marks. Notice also using the pencil on its side gives you darker, fatter, shadier, bold marks. And that's something you want to use for your shadows. Start off first with a light gesture sketch. Keep this quick, keep it fast. This is something you can do in 20, 30 seconds tops. Fill the page and summarize with this light looking, searching line, the basic contours and shapes of your main subjects, including the shapes of the big, important cast shadows that you might have. No detail at this point. Keep your eye on the subject. You might fix proportions as you go, but also take a moment, step back, and kind of evaluate where inaccuracies might be. You're welcome to erase and adjust and fix. Look for symmetry in geometrical things, equal mirror halves being the same. Keep your lines still light so that you can adjust mistakes here. Erase out searching, sketching lines you may not want around. When you're trying to fix proportions, you're looking also for how tall versus how wide something is to be in the right, correct proportion. But also if this, like for instance, cup in the back is half the size smaller than the bowl in the front, I want that relationship between the objects to also be accurate. Other things to look for are the bottoms of objects, or if you're dealing with a closet, maybe it's the way your clothes hang down. Is the bottom of one thing higher or lower than the bottom or baseline of another thing? So this relational way of looking is very important for fixing proportions and relationships throughout the page. Then begin using your pencil on the side, pressing hard, really using your index finger to get the dark value shapes. This should be kind of rough and sketchy using hatching and cross hatching marks like you're seeing here. And this is a searching, adding on. Look for cast shadows to be very dark where the light is obstructed. Also begin to build up your background or negative space or the table that might be where things are sitting upon, or the back of the closet or the bottom of the drawer. And begin to see these shapes of darkness as, these values, I'm sorry, as shapes. So the more you can squint your eyes, the more you are able to perceive light and dark values in a gray tonal scale. And that can help you eliminate details. So you're noticing here, this is not very detailed, it's not refined. I'm letting the drawing grow and grow naturally and layering the shading to get darker and darker grays and dark values. You want to also try to get some mid-tone grays. So drawing middle gray value shapes is quite similar. You might start using more complex layering of hatching and cross hatching at different angles like you're seeing in this background area here. It's really nice if you can layer your mark in the way the object curves or falls or bends. So if you have a billowing fabric of a shirt in your closet kind of hanging down, maybe the marks should also go with that curve and sinuousness of the fabric that's falling. If you do straight up and down lines or right across horizontal lines, something will look very flat. And that's kind of what I was doing here in the background. But on my bowl, I wanted it to curve with the curve of the bowl. You would really want to start now also smearing with your finger and blending, softening some of the layering of your marks. Your cast shadows, I would like you to consider, are not objects. So cast shadows also have soft edges to their shapes compared to bowls or shirts or pencils or spoons or forks, whatever cabinet object you might be looking at. Refining the drawing is something that takes a lot longer. It should take about half of the time of your drawing. This is where you slow down a bit and you really try to get now nice reflections if they exist. Maybe at this point, you're really realizing in the negative spaces between objects, there's a lot more value differences than you thought. The more contrast you can add to the background, dark values, chiaroscuro, light, dark contrast, the more the objects in the foreground will advance forward. So I really paid attention to that as I was refining this drawing, trying to get the darker values between things, behind things, a little darker so that the highlights on other objects could advance more forward. This is also a good time to start using your erasers to bring out highlights, erase them out from maybe mid-tone or very dark values that you had. Continue to smear and blend and smooth your values on the contour or with the shape of your objects, how they flow. Lastly, you want to photograph your drawing to submit it to your digital portfolio for your application and for us to review together in your portfolio interview. Be sure to crop out any extraneous other areas that in your photo so that you're showing just the drawing itself. And then you want to make sure it's not too light or too dark and make sure it's accurate and truthful to the actual drawing that you made in 1 hour. So you're done. I hope you had a really strong, good experience and that you learned something along the way of how to draw values and proportions with just basic pencil and sitting down for an hour. Can't wait to see your drawing and to meet you.